Millionaire's amazing act of kindness transforms elderly couples' lives in the rain. Rain pounded relentlessly against the diner windows. Sarah wiped a streak of fog from the glass, her heart sinking at the sight of the Johnsons. The elderly couple, pillars of the community, stood drenched, waiting for someone to come to their aid. Their faces were marked with concern, the world outside an unforgiving blur. As she prepared another cup of coffee, cold by now, she couldn't shake the ache clawing at her chest. The diner was her refuge, a space filled with clattering dishes and conversations swirling like the steam rising from the kitchen. Yet, amidst the laughter and light chatter, Sarah felt the weight of her life pressing down on her. At 34, her days were a constant juggle. Emily and Jake depended on her, and every shift felt like running a marathon just to keep food on the table. Her pride in her independence often masked a gnawing sense of invisibility. Who would notice if she disappeared? It wasn't just the diner. She'd grown distant from herself, from her dreams, the hopes she quietly shelved for the sake of survival. Suddenly, David's sleek car cruised past the diner. He was back in town, his wealth glaringly evident. She caught a glimpse of sleek leather in the rain-sleek night, a stark contrast to her life of balancing tips and late-night homework sessions. Lush years of opulence felt miles away from the harshness of her reality. The guilt was palpable in his flawless demeanor, as if he could feel the weight of every sacrifice the Johnsons made for the community he had abandoned. He hesitated at the stop sign, and Sarah's breath quickened. "Just drive away," she thought desperately. "Don't look back. It'd be easier that way." Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned to weeks, and the news of a mysterious benefactor reached Sarah's ears like a haunting melody. Whispers of someone funding the Johnsons' medical needs slipped through the diner like the rain outside. For the first time in forever, she felt a flicker of hope. But resentment surged shortly after. Could she, a hard-working mother, proud of her resilience, truly accept help from the unseen hands of another? Acceptance felt like defeat, and her heart wrestled wildly with pride. Emotions churned within her, a tempest of determination against the alluring comfort of assistance. Her internal conflict grew roots deep in her mind. There was no certainty in how to approach this kindness. Were they truly better off relying on another's hand? Did they want to live off someone else's wealth? The Johnsons deserved respect, just as her children deserved to see their mother stand tall amidst the downpour. That evening, Jake's innocent inquiry ignited a wildfire at the dinner table. The discovery of David's identity as the benefactor shook her, leaving Sarah grappling with feelings of anger and a spark of gratitude. The discussion morphed into an uncomfortable debate about privilege, necessity, and the shame that clung to her decision not to seek help. On a foggy Saturday morning, the sudden announcement of a community project led by David opened doors Sarah never anticipated. Her hands trembled with uncertainty. This would be her chance to confront her hesitation head-on. She tossed on her raincoat, fear coiling tightly in her chest. Little did she know, stepping into the rain would mean facing the very storm of her conflicted heart, and ultimately, the man who had become a symbol of both kindness and guilt. Their lives were about to intertwine in ways she couldn't predict. The morning air hung thick with a damp chill as Sarah stepped outside, the rain still drenching the world around her. Each drop felt like an unwelcome reminder of her hesitation, catalyzing her movement towards the community center where David had called for volunteers. The shift from her familiar diner to the uncertainty of this new space felt like stepping onto shaky ground, an unfathomable leap into vulnerability. Her footsteps echoed down the empty street, a metaphorical countdown to an impending confrontation, both with David and her own internal struggles. She tried to focus on the purpose of her visit, yet her mind spiraled into unwanted thoughts. The judgment she feared, the implications of accepting help, and the uncertainty of David's intentions. What did his return really mean for her? Was he genuinely invested in the community, or was this another attempt at redemption for abandoning it years ago? As she approached the center, a large banner proclaiming Volunteer Day with David Hayes flapped in the wind. The sight stirred a cocktail of emotions within her: anxiety, annoyance, and an inclination to flee. What could she offer? Who was she to pretend to contribute to something that felt bigger than her, especially in the presence of someone like David? Just as she contemplated turning back, a voice broke through her thoughts. "Hey, you made it!" David stood there, holding a stack of materials, a disarmingly genuine smile spread across his face. The sunlight, when it broke through, painted him with an almost ethereal glow, a stark juxtaposition to Sarah's cluttered reality. "I wasn't sure you'd come." In that moment, his words grounded her. Was his expectation a form of pressure or an encouragement? Were the questions brewing in her mind the same ones others might have? How could she reconcile this feeling of resentment with the appreciation that lingered just beneath the surface? "I need to know why you're doing this," she found herself saying. It was impulsive, the question tumbling out before she could restrain it, yet she felt an urgency to understand his motivations. She wasn't just addressing David, she was searching for clarity in her own justifications. He met her gaze, his expression shifting. No longer the charming benefactor, but a man contemplating the weight of his choices. "I realized that wealth without purpose is just empty. Maybe I can't fix everything, but if I can ease someone's burden, well, that's worth something." His answer struck a chord. Burying her pride, Sarah felt a glimmer of connection. Perhaps purpose was exactly what she had lost, the same purpose that could knit their lives, however briefly, into a narrative of shared responsibility. "And what about the Johnsons?" she pressed. "Are they just a way for you to feel better?" David shifted, the warmth of their conversation faltering under the scrutiny of her words. "It started as help for them," he admitted, vulnerability escaping his crafted facade. "But I see how it affects others too. It brings hope, and that's contagious." In those brief moments of honesty, layers unfolded between them, illuminating the raw edges of their lives. Sarah felt a realization surge within her. She needed this opportunity not just for herself or the Johnsons, but also to rediscover who she was outside of survival mode. "I need to be part of this," she said, the determination clear in her voice. The truth felt like a lighthouse in turbulent waters, a guiding force toward action rather than reaction. David nodded, understanding passing between them. But despite this fragile connection, a deeper unease lingered. Her acceptance of help came at a cost. How would she navigate the complexities of her pride as their partnership evolved? Before she could explore this further, the buzz of a cell phone interrupted. David reached for his expression shifting suddenly. "I have to take this, just a moment," he said, stepping aside. As Sarah watched him, an unsettling doubt clawed at her. Was this confrontation with him only the beginning of more complicated entanglements in her life? The days of juggling endless responsibilities loomed ahead. She felt the weight of that realization settle like the rain-soaked air around her. The stakes had risen, and she hadn't yet begun to recognize the power of her own voice. With her resolve solidifying, she braced for the cascade of decisions ahead. Was she ready to embrace the journey into vulnerability, armed with the spirit of a woman eager to reclaim her place in the world? Or would her fear drive her back into the shadows? Deep down, she knew one thing: the moment of truth was fast approaching, and she had a choice to make. The seconds stretched into an eternity as Sarah stood there, her heart racing, a storm of emotion swirling within her. David's retreating figure felt like a chasm opening between them,
punctuated by the incessant drizzle that dripped from the eaves above. Her mind raced, conjuring images of confronting not just David, but the lingering remnants of her past. She had long prided herself on her independence, managing to survive in a world that often overlooked women like her. Yet here she was, at the precipice of asking for help. Perhaps that very act could catalyze a metamorphosis she had been resisting. Would accepting assistance truly lead to her growth, or would it deepen her sense of inadequacy? As David stepped away, she noticed the flicker of concern cross his features. He was momentarily lost in his conversation, his attention diverted. Beneath her frustration, a part of Sarah yearned for him to return, for their dialogue to continue. It felt uncannily significant, a threshold crossed. She was no longer solely existing on the fringe. A voice in her mind implored her to push through the discomfort, to address the haunting specter of her competing desires, the need for validation against the need for self-sufficiency. Suddenly, like the clearing sky after a storm, an idea bloomed within her. Maybe volunteering wouldn't mean losing herself. Perhaps it could be a way to learn about her hidden strengths, to reclaim a purpose threaded through togetherness. Each time she had helped others, it had illuminated facets of her soul she had long buried. Resolutely, she summoned David's attention. He was still deep in conversation, but she took a step forward, breaking through the raw vulnerability that pinched at her pride. "David," she called out, her voice steady despite the apprehension roiling inside. He turned, his brow furrowed with curiosity. "Yeah? Can we talk?" His expression softened, and he motioned for her to join him. Sarah crossed the distance, the closeness urging her to confront her fears, both of his intentions and her willingness to engage. "Did I say something wrong?" he asked, sincerity bleeding through his words. "No, it's not that," she began, the words spilling out with unexpected clarity. "I'm just trying to understand how I fit into this whole scenario. You make it sound easy to lend a hand, but I'm struggling with the very idea." David tilted his head slightly, as if truly trying to understand the essence of her turmoil. "It doesn't have to be easy," he replied, his eyes unwavering. "In fact, it's often uncomfortable. But that's where growth happens, at the intersection of fear and desire." His response rang true, igniting a spark within her. But the uncertainty loomed like dark clouds overhead. What if I can't embrace it fully? What if I end up feeling more lost than ever? His honesty wrapped around her like a warm blanket. "Then we figure it out together," he offered, his voice firm yet encouraging. "You're not meant to do it alone." The adequacy of his presence welcomed her vulnerabilities rather than caging them, and for the first time, Sarah felt the chains of her fears loosening. She had long safeguarded her heart, afraid of letting others in. But standing there, the notion that her past oppressions could serve as her stepping stones toward connection and newfound purpose loomed larger than the fears that held her captive. With conviction now coursing in her veins, she found the, "Okay, I want to try. I want to confront this uncertainty and learn about myself, about contributing. More than anything, I want to feel that spark within again." A genuine smile broke across David's face, matching the awakening light glimmering in Sarah's heart. Yet, as much as his approval felt like an exhilarating launch, a question still hung precariously in the balance. Would her past choices haunt her within this new venture? The unease of confronting the complexity of her journey swirled just beneath the surface, echoing a growing tension that wouldn't easily dissipate. What unseen challenges awaited her as she explored her potential? The realization solidified. It was time to confront the emotions she had long suppressed. As she took a breath, preparing to delve deeper into the unknown, the ground beneath her shifted once again. What shadows would emerge from her past as she stepped boldly forward into this unexpected partnership? As they stood together, the world momentarily faded, and all that remained was Sarah's internal struggle against the waves of apprehension she felt. David's kind eyes offered a lifeline, but the fear of being unworthy of his support gnawed at her. "Do you have any idea where I should start?" she asked, her words trembling slightly as they left her mouth. It felt almost absurd asking for guidance. She had built a lifetime of self-reliance, priding herself on figuring things out alone. But the concept of working with others, of revealing the cracked pieces of her being, threatened to unravel her. "You know yourself better than anyone," David replied. "Start by asking what you're passionate about, what excites you." That question hovered in the air, hanging in silence. Passion. The word felt foreign, like an echo of something she hadn't touched in years. A sense of longing made her heart heavy. What was she passionate about anymore? The visions of her old life, filled with paintbrushes and canvases, danced momentarily in her mind. But would pursuing those passions only lead to more disappointment? "Maybe I can help with local art classes," she decided, the words spilling forth cautiously. She thought of the vibrant colors that used to linger in her hands, filling blank canvases with stories. "There's a community center that might appreciate more instructors." David's face broke into a smile, the kind that illuminated every corner of her uncertainty. "That's a fantastic start. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just be yourself and share what you love." A flicker of confidence ignited within her at his words, but the old fear of inadequacy lurked nearby, whispering doubts of her abilities. What if no one resonated with her art? What if they laughed? The thought twisted in her stomach, but then she remembered the countless students she had guided in the past, each one different, yet seeking understanding. "I suppose," she began, chewing on the end of her sentence, "I have to ask myself why I walked away from art to begin with." "Are you willing to find out?" he probed gently.
His eyes sparkled with encouragement, as if urging her to challenge the shackles of her past choices. Looking away, Sarah found herself seeking answers deep within. Moments when self-doubt silenced creativity, when she chased stability over dreams, merely to please others. "Yes," she breathed, her voice growing steadier. "I want to find out." In that instant, her heart beat to a different rhythm. The holding pattern of her life began to untangle. She realized that her art didn't need to be a solitary endeavor, nor a pathway strewn with the ghostly regrets of past choices. Instead, it could serve as a bridge to connect with people, to unlock doors to experiences she had long ignored. "Let's meet tomorrow to brainstorm," David suggested, an enthusiastic glimmer in his eyes. The idea of collaboration sparked a lightness within her, illuminating the possibility of forging something new, something collective yet personal. But as the excitement began to swell, so too did the discomfort of the darkness that lingered beneath the surface. What if her art brought back unwanted memories of failure? What depths of vulnerability would she need to traverse before she could truly share herself with others? Standing there, the drizzle now pouring softly with an unexpected warmth, Sarah sensed her resolve hardening. While the uncertainties loomed ominously, she had finally decided to leave the weight of her past behind. The unknown drew closer, teasing her with potential and peril interwoven. As she prepared to embrace the chance to rediscover her passion, small tendrils of worry tightened around her chest. What would it truly take to be whole again? The awakening inside her told her that she might be on the edge of something transformative. But would it bring her the fulfillment she sought, or expose her to further despair? Tomorrow would be pivotal. The success or failure of this new venture lay in her hands. Did she have the courage to follow through? One way or another, she needed to know. What awaited her was not just fear, it was also a chance to reclaim a space long forgotten. The wheels had begun to turn, and with each passing moment, Sarah found herself compelled to push further, even as shadows from her past loomed nearer. Would she finally confront them? Would the unveiling of her artistic spirit bring liberation, or would it lay bare the fractures of her history? The morning light filtered through the rain-soaked windows, casting a soft glow across Sarah's living room, where the remnants of yesterday's conversation replayed in her mind. Would today cement her path back to the canvas,
or prove to be yet another reminder of her inadequacies. Her fingers absent-mindedly traced the edge of a paintbrush that lay dormant on the cluttered table, a relic of a distant passion. She drew in a deep breath, letting the mundane aromas of coffee and damp earth ground her. A brief flicker of excitement surged as she prepared for her first meeting with David. Would they truly brainstorm together? Would his presence transform her tentative plans into actionable steps? A mixture of nervousness and anticipation propelled her feet forward as she dressed carefully, choosing a faded blue sweater that reminded her of calmer days spent painting. Beads of rain danced against the window as she stepped outside, and she couldn't help but feel a weight lift from her shoulders with each stride down the familiar path to the cafe they had agreed to meet at. The gray sky felt alive, mirroring the tumult of emotions roiling within, the hope, the anxiety, each clamoring for significance. She caught a glimpse of her reflection in a shop window, and momentarily, the image of a version of herself who had given up on her art flashed before her. The shame of that ghost threatened to encroach, but she shook it off. Today was about her. David was already seated at a corner table, a steaming cup in front of him and his sketch pad laid open. His eyes lit up when he saw her, a beacon amid dark clouds. "Good morning, Sarah. Ready to dive in?" His enthusiasm was infectious. They settled into discussion easily, but as they flipped through ideas and brainstormed about local art classes, Sarah felt something shift. The thrill of creating was palpable, yet the specter of doubt lingered. She could suggest an art class, but what if her interpretations of techniques were antiquated? "David, what if they think I'm not qualified, or worse, that I don't know what I'm talking about?" He leaned back, his expression thoughtful. "It doesn't have to be about perfection, it's about connection. You're guiding them to discover their own voice, not rehashing what you learned. That's where your true value lies." His words hung in the air, and she began to see that teaching wasn't just about passing down skills, it was about fostering a safe space for creativity to blossom. "You're right. I've been so focused on what I lack instead of what I can bring," she said slowly, a slow smile creeping across her face. As they sketched out a plan on the paper, filled with ideas that shimmered with potential, Sarah felt a strange exhilaration push through her self-doubt. She could envision a world where her art wasn't just a private sanctuary, but a shared experience, an invitation for others to explore their creativity. It was a thrilling notion, but it also opened up the door to deeper fears. However, the more they discussed, the more dedicated she became. Maybe today wouldn't just be about leading a class. It would be a chance to confront the artist she had tucked away for so long. With each idea, she felt the anchors of her past loosen, revealing a canvas within her heart brimming with potential. As their meeting wrapped up, Sarah realized that this was more than a simple brainstorming session. It was a testament to her growth. And in that recognition lay an unexpected clarity. Artistic expression was inexorably intertwined with vulnerability, and perhaps re-engaging with her art could become a powerful act of healing. But just as a sense of triumph washed over her, a chilling thought seeped back in. What if the memories she unearthed were more painful than she anticipated? What if the very act of creating led her to confront parts of herself she had long buried? "There's just one more thing," David offered as they stood outside. "Don't forget to embrace those feelings, the good and the hard. It's all part of the journey." With a hesitant smile, Sarah nodded, fully aware that the journey ahead could challenge her in ways she hadn't yet fathomed. Now, as the rain began to ease, she understood that her next step wasn't just about teaching others. It was about revealing her own truths. And that revelation lay ahead, just waiting to be uncovered. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Would she finally break free of the binds of her self-doubt? The day ahead promised to offer more than just the chance to teach. It would force her to face the shadows lurking in the corners of her mind. In that pivotal moment, she made a silent vow to herself that gaining insight into her own art would lead to a deeper understanding of who she was becoming.
But would her resolve withstand the inevitable challenges she'd face along the way? The weight of the unknown loomed large, and as she walked home, she couldn't shake the feeling that more was at stake than simply regaining her passion for painting. The air was thick with uncertainty as Sarah returned home, each step echoing a mixture of resolve and trepidation. Intense thoughts swirled in her mind, questioning whether she had the strength to fully embrace her artistic journey once more. She placed her bag on the table, the sound reverberating through the otherwise silent room, and picked up the paintbrush again, its bristles a stark reminder of her once dominant passion. Deep breaths became her allies as she stared at the blank canvas propped against the wall, the pristine surface a mirror reflecting her fears and dreams. Flashes of inspiration collided with anxiety, producing a tension in her chest. The idea of teaching loomed ahead, and with it came the shadow of judgment, hers and that of others. Could she truly allow herself to be vulnerable in front of a class? How could she guide others when she felt so lost herself? Determined to break through, she gazed at her palette. The well-worn color stirred something deep within her, as if awakening long-forgotten emotions. She dipped the brush into a mixture of cerulean blue and crisp white, the very colors that once encapsulated quieter moments filled with hope. With the first stroke across the canvas, she felt an adrenaline rush, a flicker of the artist she longed to reconnect with. But the momentary high quickly dissipated, replaced by an unrelenting voice in her mind that rehashed her insecurities. "Does this even matter?" it whispered mockingly. "Who will take you seriously?" Sarah shook her head, exhaling sharply. "That's not true," she whispered defiantly. The empty room. The sound of her own voice startled her, but also ignited a flicker of defiance within. She grabbed another brush, furiously applying color, each stroke a rebellious act against her self-doubt. However, just as she began to feel a surge of control, the haunting memories of failure, the ones she wished to avoid, echoed in her mind with startling clarity. She paused, breath hitching as she realized what had to happen next. This was more than about teaching others. It was a reclamation of her own voice. The very art she feared could expose her insecurities was also her most powerful tool for healing. What if she allowed herself to confront those ghosts? To paint not only the beauty, but the pain? Taking a moment to reflect, she asked herself, what would that look like? The idea tugged at her, a strand of potential weaving through her thoughts. If her art was about connection and growth, perhaps revealing her true self, the struggles, the complexities, was the very essence that could liberate her and, in turn, those she hoped to teach. With newfound determination, she began sketching the outline of something raw and intricate. Patterns emerged, an abstract depiction of her fears mingling with hopes. Each layer painted over the canvas revealed more than colors. It uncovered stories that needed to be told. Sarah realized she was not just recreating her past, she was sculpting a foundation for her future, carving out a space for both teaching and learning. As the shadows on her canvas deepened, Sarah's heart raced. She understood that the classroom she envisioned was not a pedestal for imparting knowledge, but a sphere of shared exploration, a journey not just for her students, but for herself as well. Then came a sudden realization, jolting her focus. A small voice in the back of her mind hinting at the possibility of rediscovery, an urge to connect with her community of artists who had also faced their trials. What could that mean for her development? The weight of her commitment pressed upon her. Tomorrow, she would reach out, not just to friends, but to the world outside her walls, the very world she once retreated from. Would she find support, or would she face criticism for her boldness? With the canvas still raw before her, a flame began to course through her, igniting both fear and excitement.
This journey would challenge her in ways she hadn't anticipated, pulling her into depths she feared, but she was ready to dive headfirst. As night blanketed her world, Sarah felt the cold tendrils of doubt ease slightly, replaced by a flicker of hope. But would the warmth of that hope withstand the revelations of her past? Undeniably, the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, but one thing was clear. She had taken the first step back into the light. What awaited her outside her door might just become the catalyst for her transformation, a truth she was all too eager to uncover. Sarah awoke to the soft light filtering through her curtains, illuminating
the remnants of last night's creative chaos. The steep ambition resting in her core lingered, pushing against her doubts. Today was not just another day, it was a turning point, a chance to invite others into her world of art and vulnerability. Once again, the weight of uncertainty flickered in her mind, but this time it was joined by an undercurrent of anticipation. She stood before her canvas, now an evolving tapestry of her thoughts and emotions. The lines she had drawn reflected a newfound mission, a desire to share not just colors, but also the very process of becoming, of striving amid chaos. The echoes of her past failures, still haunting, now transformed into shadows of strength. That realization was powerful. Each fear became a stepping stone toward authenticity. After a quick breakfast, she sat down at her laptop, fingers trembling slightly over the keyboard. This was the moment where the idea of outreach collided with reality. As she began drafting her message to local artistic communities, Sarah mulled over each word. Her aim was simple: to connect. But as she crafted her email, a wave of panic threatened to snuff out her courage. What if no one was interested? What if they dismissed her? Doubt reared its head, sharp and piercing, but Sarah pressed through it. This was her moment of truth, not just for her art, but for her identity as an artist. She pointedly reminded herself that vulnerability could foster connection. No great artist ever thrived in isolation. Taking a deep breath, she hit send. Almost instantly, relief washed over her, momentarily silencing the inner critic. Now it was time to accept what would come next, regardless of outcome. Each click of the mouse was a chance taken, a step deeper into the unknown. The afternoon slipped away as she worked passionately on her canvas, letting colors flow freely. But amid the creativity, the anticipation of responses gnawed at her. The thrill of potential connection was exhilarating, yet fear lurked just beneath its surface. Seconds turned into minutes, and soon her phone buzzed, shattering the silence. A message arrived from a fellow artist she admired. He expressed interest in collaborating and invited her to a city gallery that weekend to showcase their works together. The exhilaration of this unexpected validation jolted through her. Perhaps this was a hint of what lay ahead, a confirmation that she was not stepping into the void alone. Yet with excitement came pressure. How would she present her work? Would her vulnerabilities resonate or repel? The self-questioning spiraled back in, heavy and relentless. She stood before her canvas again, knowing she needed to channel her anxiety into something constructive, something that reflected her journey and the transformative power of art. As evening fell, she turned her attention back to the abstract piece depicting her conflicts. Unraveling shapes stirred as she painted frantically, adding depths of color that represented her fears and hopes. It was cathartic, a release of everything that weighed heavily on her heart. But with the exhilaration of creation came the realization that while she was beginning to reclaim her artistic voice, this was merely the beginning. The upcoming event would be the first time sharing her work with others. The thought sent shivers down her spine. Could she truly be authentic in front of an audience?
Each brushstroke served as a reminder that she needed to confront the vulnerabilities that made her feel exposed yet alive. The idea of sharing not just her art, but her journey was daunting. But within that daunting fear lay the very essence of transformation. As she stepped back to survey her work, a new clarity emerged. This piece was not simply about aesthetics, it was a blueprint of personal growth, integration of light and shadow, a reflection of her own rebirth. The public unveiling would act as a personal rite of passage. With a renewed sense of purpose, Sarah resolved to embrace whatever response awaited her, to accept the possibility of both growth and rejection in pursuit of her dream. This night had become a crucible for her transformation, igniting something deep within, an unquenchable thirst for genuine connection through artistic expression. But as she laid down her brushes, another thought struck her. If she were to confront her past at this gallery, what could unveil there? Would she find the strength she sought, or would the echoes of her past become too loud to overcome? The looming reality of that day filled her with both apprehension and hope, the perfect storm of artistry waiting just beyond the horizon. As dawn broke the next day, the warm glow of the sun seeped through the edges of the curtain, inviting Sarah to rise from her fragmented dreams. The approaching weekend loomed large in her mind like a beast waiting to pounce. She had less time than she thought to prepare, not just her artwork, but herself. Today, she could not afford to drift between complacency and fear. Instead, she needed to crystallize her thoughts and strategize her approach. Standing before the canvas, her fingers brushed over the textures she had created. Each stroke was layered with meaning, yet she could feel the weight of expectation pressing down upon her. How could she communicate the depths of her journey through this artwork alone? Would the layers reflect her true self, or would they be but a whisper of the fears that clung to her? In a moment of clarity, she grabbed her notebook and began to jot down ideas for her presentation. Speaking of her struggles and triumphs, connecting them to each piece would make her journey tangible. Her heart raced at the thought. Speaking publicly had always terrified her. The prospect of revealing her vulnerabilities flared her anxiety. Like an echoing heartbeat, doubt crept in, melding with her anticipation. Yet deep within, a curiosity urged her onward. She needed this. Perhaps the true artwork was not just on the canvas, but also in the dialogue she would share. If she could fuse her art with her experiences, she could transform her vulnerability into strength. The intricacy of her life could highlight the canvas's colors. She exhaled, determination mixing with doubt, propelling her to embrace the challenge. In the late afternoon, she decided to take a walk. As her feet rhythmically struck the pavement, the world around her became a whirlwind of inspiration. She observed street performers, their nervousness palpable yet overshadowed by their passion. She noticed the group of artists displaying their work in the sun, their confidence shaking her foundations. She couldn't help but admire their fearlessness in the face of scrutiny. Those artists were raw and real, laying themselves bare for the world to see. Were they not confronting their own struggles by sharing their truths, just as she aspired to do? Returning home, she felt invigorated yet also overwhelmed by the dichotomy of what she was about to confront. The possibility of rejection felt too heavy to bear, yet she recognized that the only way forward was through. The walls of uncertainty began to close in again, but they also ignited a rebellious spark, a desire to break down every wall that had held her captive for too long. Impelled by newfound resolve, Sarah turned to her canvas. Each stroke was more vigorous than the last, embodying the myriad ghosts of doubt she had battled throughout her journey. As she painted, she silently declared to herself, "This is not just about showing an art piece. This is about revealing my identity, my truths. This is my moment, raw, authentic, and unapologetic." Yet just as clarity washed over her, a troubling thought intruded. What if her most unrefined self was not enough? Would they turn away, disinterested, or worse, unfazed by her unvarnished honesty? As she added the final touches to her artwork, a sense of urgency enveloped her. As the night deepened and shadows lengthened in her studio, she was struck by the realization that in a matter of days, she would face both the truths she painted and the doubts she had always kept hidden. Then, a flicker of resolve ignited once more inside her. The gallery did not simply represent exposure. It was a testament to the courage it takes to be seen. With courage coursing through her veins, she stood before her completed work, a confidence building that had been fragile just hours before. Each moment leading up to the gallery was a step she could not shy away from. Her burgeoning bravery made her wonder, would she finally silence those harrowing echoes of self-doubt? Or would the judgment of others resonate louder than her voice? The unfolding of this narrative began to feel like an exploration into the abyss. What awaited her at the gallery was unknown but imminent, and she could feel the pull, a thrilling, daunting adventure beckoning her to embrace her truth. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a muted glow through her studio, Sarah faced the final countdown. The gallery was just days away, and though the anticipation was electric, so was the dread, a weight pressing against her chest. She adjusted her canvas, a vibrant tapestry of colors and textures representing her journey. Yet she felt no less tenuous than when she had started. Each brushstroke had been an act of rebellion against her own fears, but a nagging voice whispered, was it brave enough? Staring at the work she had poured her soul into, doubt began to gnaw at her again. The vibrant hues seemed to mock her uncertainty. Would they resonate with others? Or would they simply seem chaotic, a reflection of her jumbled emotions? She fought back the urge to cover it with a new layer, to distract from her own vulnerabilities. No, this piece had to stand as it was, imperfect yet honest. With a deep breath, Sarah turned her attention to the preparation of her presentation. She knew she couldn't merely introduce the artwork. She had to weave her own narrative into it, using her voice to highlight the familiar threads of struggle and triumph. The handwritten notes in her notebook began to morph into a structured outline. This would be her story, her courage. The night before the gallery loomed, a maelstrom of thoughts erupted in her mind. What if she faltered? What if the audience saw through her polished smiles and decorative language? The thought sent shivers down her spine. Yet she couldn't ignore the eagerness growing within. Each wave of anxiety led to another realization. This wasn't merely about exposure, it was about engagement. If she spoke from the heart, authentically and raw, perhaps others would see a part of themselves reflected in her journey. The clock struck midnight, and tiredness enveloped her. Longing for clarity, she spun her thoughts back to the artists she had observed. Their courage and vulnerability had awakened something dormant in her. What if she too could touch someone with her fears and flaws? Wasn't true connection with an audience forged in the truest parts of themselves? Her mind shifted as she recalled a shared experience, a moment when she had risked sharing her artwork for the very first time in a small group. It was a disaster. The feedback had been blunt, and yet, within that harsh honesty, there had been vitality. She had learned the art of letting go, understanding that art, much like life, was not about achieving perfection, but about embracing the imperfections. That had been a turning point, a glimpse into the power of her vulnerability. As she reflected, the quiet of the night settled around her, transforming her apprehension into a calling. Her words no longer felt like a potential failure. They became instruments of exploration, paving the path toward connection with her audience. Thus, when dawn broke, spilling into her studio like the tide, Sarah stood not just before her canvas, but before herself. She would not shy away from the narrative woven through her life. This was the ascent, an opening through which her true self could emerge. But as she prepared for the day ahead, A strange stirring tugged at her mind. She realized that one aspect of her journey
remained unexamined. Should she involve those who had influenced her work? Would it benefit her to invite them into her presentation, or would their presence shift the focus away from her story? Shaking off the uncertainty, Sarah wrote down her final thoughts. She was ready to face the audience, ready to share her truth. Yet, beneath the anticipation, a shiver of concern lingered. Could she really bear to share the stage with those who had helped shape her journey? Would their voices drown out her own? As these latent questions took root, her resolve solidified once more. The time had come to face not just the gallery, but the very threads of her life that had shaped her. Would this unveiling of her journey lead to liberation, or would she find herself weaving a tighter web of doubt? With those thoughts consuming her, she took her first step into the day. The gallery awaited. As the day of the gallery dawned, Sarah felt a sense of clarity settle over her amidst the wavering doubts. She gazed at her artwork, the vibrant colors reflecting the turmoil and triumph of her journey. This was not just paint on a canvas. It was a testament to her growth, a vivid narrative that whispered of her struggles and victories. With each brushstroke now embedded with intention, she felt ready to share the power of her story. Arriving at the gallery, her heart thundered in anticipation. The mingling scents of fresh paint and invigorating coffee created a welcoming embrace, but the anxiety clawed at her, threatening to unravel the resolve she had mustered. The space buzzed with energy as artists and patrons milled around, exploring their stories within art, just as she hoped to do with hers. The crowd gathered, murmuring excitedly, and Sarah stood near her piece, feeling both vulnerable and empowered. She had committed to authenticity. This was her moment to merge her voice with her art. And as she prepared to speak, she marveled at how she had transformed from a woman bound by fear into an artist poised to share her truth. When the time came, Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself before uttering the first word. "Thank you all for being here." Her voice rang out, steady and clear, with a resonance that surprised even her. This isn't just a collection of colors and textures. It's my journey, a reflection of resilience, vulnerability, and the essence of seeking connection through creativity. She shared stories that flowed from the canvas, tales of her past struggles, the shadows of self-doubt, and the beauty of rediscovering her passion for art. Each moment she spoke felt like an unveiling, not just of her work, but of her closely guarded heart. As her stories intertwined with the imagery on the canvas, she saw nods of understanding and empathy ripple through the audience. For the first time, Sarah felt seen. The weight of her insecurities began to lift, replaced by an exhilarating sense of belonging. With every word, she reaffirmed her identity as an artist. Artist, harnessing the power of her vulnerability to connect with others in the gallery. This exchange was no longer about fear. It had morphed into a celebration of shared humanity. As she concluded, the room erupted in applause, a sound that reverberated with validation. In that moment, a flood of warmth enveloped her, a recognition not just of her art, but of her journey and growth. It marked the culmination of all her inner battles, a public acknowledgement of her transformation. The days and weeks that followed saw a torrent of connections and opportunities bloom. Sarah was invited to collaborate with other artists, mentoring young creatives who drew inspiration from her story. Her workshops sparked dialogues in the community, forging bonds over shared experiences. She felt invigorated by the warmth of collaboration and creativity that colored her life in ways she had not anticipated. Sarah discovered that confronting her past had not only healed her own wounds, but had empowered her to become a beacon for others. Her art classes flourished, each session revealing the beauty of communal learning as they explored creativity together. She embraced the notion that vulnerability could kindle connection, and through teaching, she continued to unearth deeper facets of her identity, enhancing her growth. No longer did she find herself on the outskirts of her own life. She had stepped into the vibrant center of her own narrative. Her confidence soared, at once solid and resolute, as she realized that pursuing her passions was not an act of selfishness, but one of necessary fulfillment. As Sarah reflected on her journey, she recognized the profound influence of both support and connection. In accepting help and extending her hand, she transformed her life from one of isolation to one rich with community, banding together with those who had inspired her and who she now inspired in return. With her heart soaring, she glanced at her studio filled with vibrant colors, her canvases now bearing witness to her evolution. The spark she had long sought had returned, illuminating her future with a bright and limitless canvas. Now, as you've experienced Sarah's journey towards her true self and witnessed the power of vulnerability and growth, it's your turn to embrace your journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly matters. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending, and let your voice be heard. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of uplifting our community through these actions.